The Luke Branquinho Show is brought to you by Lane Frost. Lane Frost, your legend starts now. There's been so much knowledge in that head of yours with rodeo on both sides of the fence.
We carry Lane everywhere we go.
Right.
So every once in a while I take a breath. But I'm a believer that I don't wait on anybody. You just, if you want to do something, if you want to make it happen, you're the one that makes it happen.
Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show, and we were so good with John Growney in our first episode with him. We went ahead and kept rolling, and we got part two right now. John, thanks again for staying on because, in seriousness, there's been so much knowledge in that head of yours with rodeo on both sides of the fence. I think that's what's important, and that's what the world needs to see.
Right. I'm always going off somewhere. I've seen a lot of committees where a professional cowboy comes on that committee and he thinks that he knows how to take care of it, but he's never worried about parking cars.
No.
Or he's never worried about the finances of what that committee is making and how it makes it. And almost all those guys, they'll come on a committee, and these are big committees, and the next thing you know, he bails out because it was bigger than he thought it was going to be. He just thought he could do something for the Cowboys to change the world, but it just
to make
doesn't
it better
happen.
for the Cowboys. He doesn't realize that everything, and I've got to experience that firsthand by being the commissioner of the Kid Rock and Rodeo, and the team concept with the PBR, and they're coming to me like, well, where should we put parking, or where should the warm-up arena be? And I'm like, oh, wait a second, no, you have people that handle that. Where the trash cans go, for God's sake? Simple things like that.
My niece, Annie Mortenson's putting on a rodeo in Monticello right now. The committee hired her to be the little CEO there. Well, it's getting down to water troughs right now, a hose, all of a sudden we have breakaway and regular calf roping, and we got to keep them separated. So now we need another water trough for the breakaway calves. And now we're worried about, she's over there and it's just getting ready to start, is where we're going to park everybody.
Well, and it was crazy because people would have my number for trades. So, hey, can you trade here or this and that? Not call me like, hey, man, where do we park? Where's the warm-up arena? Is there going to be water at the warm-up arena? What's the stock going to be? I mean, so many things that go into it that an athlete, cowboy, doesn't even know. They just show up, pay their entries, and go.
I get phone calls at, St. Paul, especially because everybody's flying in, flying out and stuff like that. And a director will come in, hey, John, these guys, Luke Branquinho's over at the airport it's about 20 miles away, and they need a ride. We need somebody to go get them. I mean, that goes on and on and on like that.
Nonstop, and again, you've got to see that firsthand from probably more so than what you did in your rodeo career as a stock contractor and a producer, seeing all that. But something I want to touch on, really, in all honesty, when 8 Seconds came out, rodeo was good, but when it came out, it helped elevate it even more.
So where do I go with that? Remember that book was written for me already.
Yeah, exactly.
Me knowing Lane Frost, me getting Donnie Kish and I getting Red Rock, and all this was coming together when they were born. It was just already starting. So this chapter was starting to happen. There's no reason why you can't market a cowboy 2 months ahead of time that he's going to be there. And all of a sudden, maybe a month ahead of time, you do the draw, and he's got Dreamboat Annie. Casey Phil's got Dreamboat Annie. Bucked off once, want to go around at the NFR once. So it's a hype that I can create long before the rodeo ever happens, so I can sell more tickets. So help me out, Luke. Help me out.
Help me help you is what it is. Help. Well, and you said it right there because you guys did that with the Challenge of Champions, right? With Lane Frost, Red Rock, and that was the hype. You knew that he was going to be there. You knew he was going to get on the greatest buck and bull of all times at that time. And why wouldn't you buy a ticket to see that?
Right. Everywhere we went, they sold it out, and and I didn't even realize how important it was. So remember, we're a sport. We're an event that's happening. boxing has this versus thing where two boxers are two football teams, two baseball teams. Everybody is competing against somebody, and it has a hype to it. We don't have that. The sad part about here we are, we're not getting on Red Rock, and we will. But so many times a committee will say, "Hey, John, this TV station's here. Will you do an interview with him?" Well, I can't promise him that Trevor Brazil's even going to be there. I know he's supposed to be there, but I don't know if he's going to show up. And nobody really knows it. Or I would like to do something like Casey Fields getting on Moulin Rouge, that I could do this versus thing where they're competing against us. We had, and you were there, we had that deal at Reading where we had the challenge. They called it their challenge thing.
Yep.
Well, Casey Fields has Moulin Rouge. If I'd have known that a month ahead of time, I could have sold everybody in Tama County a ticket to come watch. Right. But we only knew it, 4 hours before the rodeo?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Nobody's going to buy a ticket 4 hours before the rodeo, and I can't reach anybody. All right, so let's get back to where we're supposed to be too.
Yeah. I mean, but the aspect of taking a champion like Lane Frost, and I mean, this was before, Lane was great, but this was before he had the gold buckle, I believe, right?
No, it was right after.
I mean, right after he had the gold buckle. So he was great. We knew that he, was the up and coming star, and then you take that bull. But again, we just talk about marketing and what Lane and the matchup did for rodeo. We talked about 8 seconds and what it did, but this was prior to 8 seconds because it was in the prime of Lane Frost and Red Rock.
Right. Casey,
I'm Luke. That's
okay. All right.
Brother, yeah. Anyway, go ahead,
Tony. But the sad, to start with, because we had Lane and we had Red Rock was really gentle. He had bucked off all the world champions except for he never had a shot at Donnie Gabe. So Red Rock wins Buck and Bull of the Year in 1987. Lane wins the world championship in 87. And then we have Kendra Santos that shows up and knows how to write articles. We have George Michael Sports Machine, who loves Lane Frost, and whatever Lane Frost does, George Michael's going to be there. And then Sue Rosoff with her photography and her camera, capturing everything that's happening. I'm telling you, the book was written before I ever got there, and I was supposed to do it. And I told you the other day, all I was the vehicle to get everybody there, and it really played out good. And then the movie 8 Seconds, it elevated Growney Brothers Rodeo Company. Red Rock and Lane elevated Growney Brothers Rodeo Company. It was all happening for a reason. So a lot of that stuff happened by itself.
All right. Well, when we come back, because we're going to break, I have to give John time to get some Geritol and insure in him. But when we come back,
how did I become one of the old guys as well? I don't know.
When we come back, we're going to have more with John Growney, and I want to talk Red Rock.
Hey, I'm Matt Merritt. And whether I'm hanging out at home or when I'm in the woods or even when I'm in the arena, I always choose to be legendary. Do you?
The Luke Branquinho Show is brought to you by Lane Frost. Lane Frost brand is completely family owned and operated. Every single product is designed and shipped from their hometown, Atoka, Oklahoma. The Frost family thanks customers for supporting their family. They hope you're inspired by Lane's legacy and the champion mindset. Fans of the Luke Branquinho Show can use promo code LUKE20 for 20% off any of their quality products at lanefrost.com. Welcome back to Luke Branquinho Show. We have John Growney. And John, we were talking, the match of Lane Frost and Red Rock, but I want to get into Red Rock. What made him so good that those guys couldn't stay on him?
To start with, the story on Red Rock was his dad was a red Bremer bull and his mom was a shorthorn cow. And she died right after giving birth to Red Rock. And so they brought Red Rock in and put him on the family milk cow. And then there was 2 little kids, some of your kids' age, they were probably 4 or 5 years old. And this bull became like a pet. And he was on the family milk cow. They said he'd be running, playing with these kids all the time. And finally got too big and they started having problems with him. So they sold him at the sale yard, and one of the
But first off, he wasn't bred like nowadays. You have
not at all. Not
he
at
was
all.
not bred to be a bucking bull. That's just
not at all. He wasn't bred to be a bucking bull. But I think all the things that were happening to him, that he never feared man. He never feared anything. He was just, and he loved his job. When he was out, and we bucked him a lot the last year to make sure he won bucking bull of the year. In 1987, we bucked him 50 times. And so that was almost every performance that we were doing. And we couldn't keep him with the other bulls because he fought all of them. He didn't like other bulls at all. But we kept him with the roping calves. And so I think he knew that the roping calves were getting a lot of grain, so he always got a lot of grain. But anyway, when it was his turn to go, he'd be right at the gate waiting for his turn to go. He knew when the bull riding was going on, and we just opened the gate, and he knew where to go to get in the bucking chutes. You never had to whip him, spank him. You never had to do anything. He was ready to go, and he knew his job. Well, Ricky Lindsay, all those good bull riders, they'd take their wrap, and then they'd wiggle and try and get a hold of them. And the whole time this Ricky Lindsay's doing that, Red Rock is going down and down and down. And he must go probably that far, at least 2 rungs down, and Ricky Lindsay can't feel him because he's doing it with all 4 legs. Most of the time, those bulls will be down in the front or down in the back. But this bull was going straight down. And when that gate opened, this bull blew out of there so high and so fast that Ricky went flying right out of there. So anyway, he did that. Cody Lambert figured that out. Cody had him at Ellensburg and had him at Ellensburg, and he bucked him off really fast. So a year later at Cedarville, little old one-day rodeo with 1,000 added, he had him again. And so he didn't tell me, he didn't tell anybody. He went to the gate guys and he goes, I don't care where I'm sitting on this bull. When I tell you, when I nod my head, you open that gate. So he's sitting, he hadn't even got up on his bull rope yet, and he nods to the guy. They open that gate, and Red Rock looks out, and he can't figure out what's going on around here. You know, hey, this guy didn't give me the signal that I had to get ready to go. And Cody, I think Cody rode him almost 7 seconds. And finally, just cowboy justice, this bull drove him in the ground so hard it knocked him out. And I've got a picture somewhere of Ted News going out there picking up Cody. And Cody, he doesn't have a clue where he is, but because it drove him in the ground so hard. Well, after Red Bluff and Clovis, Lane bucked off hard at Red Bluff and it hurt him. And then at Clovis, it knocked him goofy. And I'm out there and Cody's out there, and we're leading Lane out of the arena because he didn't have a clue where he is. And Cody's going, John, I got to tell Lane the deal, or this bull's going to kill him. So the deal was at Reading, you just don't get up on your rope, and you don't wiggle, you don't do anything.
Right.
You nod your head and catch that bull so he doesn't get ready to blow out of there, because he bucked all those good guys off in 2 jumps. That bull never hardly had to work his whole life because he bucked everybody. But I noticed more kids rode him further, but I never paid attention to it. But Cody Lambert was smart enough to figure it out and what was going on.
Because they didn't get in there and waller on his back and wiggle and yeah.
But the sad part about this whole thing, and I didn't want to say it this way, I don't even know how to say it, but Lane had to die to make this a story, because Lane would have just been another world champion bull rider, and Red Rock would have been another bucking bull of the year that nobody remembered. But because of what happened and all the stories to these kids today, I talk to Elsie probably 4 or 5 times a year, and I tell her this because we're like disciples. Kendra and Sue and myself and Elsie, we carry Lane everywhere we go.
Right.
So every once in a while I have to take a breath. But anyway, it just, because of him dying and because of all these great things that happened, that everybody remembers Lane Frost. And I see every kid every bull rider wears a crucifix. That's what they do. That never happened when I was a bull rider, before Lane Frost and Red Rock. And now these kids, and they gravitate to me because they know that I knew Lane Frost and that I owned Red Rock. But and it's, you know, I won't show you what I catch kids staring at me all the time because they know I'm part of that story.
Yeah.
And I'll flip them the bird, and it catches them off guard. But it gives them permission to come talk to me because
absolutely,
because we laugh about it.
Welcome back to Luke Branquinho Show. John, you were just getting ready to tell before I rudely interrupted you why we're not remembered. World champions aren't remembered. Now we're going to let you go ahead and do that.
Okay, because you and I both know that Trevor Brazile is the greatest timed eventer to ever live in our rodeo world. There
Absolutely.
Isn't anybody better, and it's going to be a long time before there's anybody that good. We're at St. Paul, and you've been there before because you're guilty of it also. All you good guys have the ability to find a circuit guy that'll trade with you, so you'll get both dog and steers. Or in Trevor Brazile's, he got both his rope and calves, both his team rope and steers in one slack, and he was gone. He's leaving. And so I see him in the hospitality tent at St. Paul, and I tell him, I go, Trevor, what you're doing is wrong, because I can't promote you. I can't market you. I can't do anything because you're at the biggest 4th of July rodeo in the world, and you're leaving because you've already competed in slack. And he goes, John, I know you're right. And he goes, if everybody else is allowed to do it, I've got to do it because I don't make money rodeoing. I make money on my gold belt buckles through sponsorships. And I knew he was right. He was 100% right. So we're at Salinas a week and a half later, and it's slack is going on, and I'm at the catch pen for the time event, and Dominic Jinko and Pat Russell and some of the people you know are down there, but I'm also with a director who just bought himself a gray mare, and he's team roping, and he's in charge of that area down there, and he's telling me how much better he's roping and all that. So I know that this guy's a director. He's a team roper. He knows all these things. And about that time, because we're visiting so much, Trevor Brazile rides in because he just got his team rope and steer, and they weren't listening to who was up next. And so here's Trevor Brazile in there. So I'm having small talk with Trevor Brazile, and I can hear all these guys in the background talking. And all of a sudden, Trevor starts to ride away. And this guy that's a director, and he's a team roper, goes, who is that? And I can't wait. And I go, hey, and I don't want to say his name because I don't want this guy to know that I know this guy's name. And I'm going, hey, come here. And Trevor hears me, so he comes right back. He goes, well, yeah, what is it, John? And I go, and I use a different word because I punctuated it, but I'll say this one. But I go, this guy wants to know who in the frick you are. And Trevor knew what I was saying. And I knew what he was saying. So if that guy doesn't know Trevor Brazile, there is nobody in that grandstand that knows Trevor Brazile because we were not allowed to market him the way we were supposed to market him.
We are going to wrap up with my good friend and my mama. It's inside joke. Inside joke. I got some rapid fire questions for you. Favorite motivational quote or thought?
I heard this one time and I really like it. It is if you don't direct the direction you want to go to get into, somebody else is going to do it for you. And so I'm a believer that I don't wait on anybody. You just, if you want to do something and you want to make it happen, you're the one that makes it happen. You're
the director of your direction.
Amen.
Bingo. Favorite rodeo event?
Bull riding.
Of course. I thought it was still wrestling. Favorite sport when you're not rodeoing, watching rodeo?
Rodeo. This Cowboy Channel, I like football. I'm a 49er fan, but I couldn't tell you any of the ball players or anything like that. But my grandpa was from San Francisco, George Growney, and I was raised listening to the Giants on radio and listening to the 49ers on radio. So
perfect. All right, I know the answer to this one, but your favorite Branquinho?
Your mom.
Yeah, Mama Brandy. I was going to say that. This one I knew too.
I don't know how she survived. She had to be. I hope she just beat the you kids every once in a while.
She still does. Now it's the grandkids more so, but
Yeah, I know it.
Well, John, I can't thank you enough. This has been an absolute pleasure, and obviously me knowing you as a dear friend and on a personal level. But the fans out there, I think, obviously getting to know you and where you stand in this sport and this world, I think is huge. So I can't thank you enough, and we'll have to do it again.
All right.
All right, all you fans out there, thank you for watching. It's been fun.